to another episode of Baking to Building. I bought two of my favorite plants that I've been wanting for a long time. Florida's version of a bleeding heart. I had one in New York and it was beautiful. The flowers are a little different here in Florida, but it's still a really pretty plant. And I got a soursop plant. And I decided I needed to get some nice wood stands for them. And that's what we're going to be working on today. This is another project where I am using fencing. It is pressure treated and it should be a very quick project. It's all very, very simple. I'm going to be making the boxes 17 inches square, and if my calculation is correct, I should be able to get each level from one board. I'm going to make my boxes 3 levels, so it looks a little deeper and eye-pleasing. And whatever I have left over is what I'll use for the legs and some additional molding. So let's get started. Okay, so we're ready to cut the wood, and I'm going to be making them 17 inches square, and I'll need 4 boards for each level. I'm going to make 2 flower boxes with 3 levels. On my safety glasses. Now that I have all my pieces cut, I'm going to sand just the front sides of each board. I'm planning to either stain or paint the outside of these, so I'd like to have it a little smoother. The inside's not going to matter because you won't see the inside of the planter once the plant is inside, but I think I would like the look to be a little smoother than the roughness of the board. So I'm going to start with 60 grit sandpaper and decide as I sand how high I'm going to go on the sandpaper. So put in your earplugs, this is loud. So I finished up with the 60 grit, and it's still a little rougher than what I'd like it to be, so I'm going to go ahead and give them all a quick 80 grit, and I think after that it should be smooth enough for me to paint. Okay, now that everything's sanded, I'm going to be working with 2 drills today, one with the drill bit and the other with the screw head. I'm using 1 1/8 inch screws for this project, and we're going to get started putting it together. I'll do my best for you to be able to see how I'm actually screwing it in. This one looks a little warped, so maybe we'll use that one on the end. So I'm basically going to line these up as best I can, give it a hold, and I'm going to pre-drill my hole so that the wood doesn't crack. This wood's a little temperamental working with it. But it's good wood and it's cheap wood for a cheap project. If you don't want to spend a lot of money on the prime wood. So you want to go a little slow with your screw just so that you don't crack the wood. And you also want to try to countersink that screw so that this way when I put the molding on the outside, everything will lay nice and flush. So again, we're going to go in here and give ourselves a hole. And take our screw and again you want to countersink. So now in order to keep this square, we want to alternate how we attach the wood. So being that this one is on the inside of this, we want to make sure it is on the outside of this one, like this. I don't know if you can see it. So I'll try to get a close-up after I get it together. So again, you want to just sort of line it up as best you can. It is very hot here today in Florida. This board's a little warped, so it's a little bit harder to make perfectly even, but when the boxes are all together and the molding's on, you won't really notice. Okay, so I want to see if I can show you this close up. So I have this board on the inside and I have this board on the outside. So you want to alternate that in order to keep your box square. So you also want to make sure your sanded edge is facing out. So this one's going to go in and this one's going to go out. So put this one together. Okay, and there you have it. One box done, 5 more to go. So I'm now ready to cut the legs for the planters using the same kind of wood, the fencing boards, and I'm just cutting it in half so it'll be this width here, and I need 2 full boards for each planter. Okay, now that the boards have been split in half, I have to measure them up and cut them for the height that I'm going to use on the legs. So I'm going to measure these at 27 inches, and I'm going to basically use 2 pieces like this on each leg. So that would be 8 pieces per flower pot. So I'm going to give this a quick sanding just like I did the actual boxes. I'm not going to go crazy, just want to get some of that real roughness off. This way when I paint them, it'll be a little smoother. Now, if you're not planning on painting them and you either want to leave them natural or put a stain on them, you can leave them rough. They do leave them rough when you use them as fencing, so that's really just a preference. To save a little time, I started to put the legs on, but I left one leg only half done so I could show you what I did. So I put one leg here, but as you can see, I double leg them. So what I'm going to do is put this leg like this. I'm going to drill a hole and put a screw at the bottom of each leg for stability. I will take each of the 3 boxes and push them down inside the legs, which will create the planter box. And then I will drill from the inside boxes, attach them to the legs. I cut some scraps about 1.5 inches wide and the inside measurement of the box. I'm going to screw them down at the bottom, and these will be the brackets to hold the bottom of the planter in place. So that's what it looks like on the inside with the ledge, and I've randomly cut some scraps that I'm just going to lay right down on the bottom. This way they could be changed out if they get rotted, and also the water can flow through from the pots that I'm going to sit inside. So this is one that I've already done, and if you can see, I did a nice top plate here. So I'm going to do the same on this one. As you can see, some of the corners aren't too tight, but that's okay. You know, using the picket fence wood, you have a lot of problems with it being rough, possible warping. So using wood like this, it's not always perfect. But I've gone ahead and I've pre-cut my faceplate to 1.5 inches, and I've already cut my one corner here. So we're going to get started measuring that. But as you can see with my pre-cut edges, you won't be able to see any of the mistakes that are underneath. Oh, measuring for the faceplate, you want to make sure that this corner here matches up with the leg. And then I'm going to come over to this side, and I'm, going to make a pencil line here. My pencil's not working. There we go. And I'm just going to match it there up on top. And that's going to give me the guide. And we are going to match the corner. So we're going to go in this direction since it's more like a picture frame. So I'm going to cut here. I'm going to put this at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to line up my outer blades to where the line is right here. Push that back. I always just like to do a little bit more. Okay, so there we have our first one. Now I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to match this up. I'm going to come to the end. Oh, I already got a pencil mark there. Go up like that. And I'm going to give it a cut. Because I'm using the opposite side, I've got to move my saw back to 45 degrees on this side. And I'm going to do the same thing and line up my outer blade. Make sure that's flat. Okay. All right, so I tacked a few of them in place so I could get a more accurate cut. But I wanted to show you how I do this last one. So I go right here where the end of the point is, and that's where I'm going to make my final cut in this direction here. And then the faceplate will be finished. So I put a couple of cheater nails in there just to hold it steady so I can get a more precision cut. This one fits like a puzzle, and I'm going to just put in a couple of nails. Normally I would set the nails down, but because I am painting these, the plants are going to go in it. You're not even going to notice them. A couple of the bigger holes I will put some putty, but I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm going to paint the outside green that coincides with my house, but the inside I'm going to give it a coat of the Valspar polyurethane just to keep it. There are my 3 planters ready for painting, not without mistakes and not without some extra screw holes. A little room for error, but even with the mistakes, I'm happy with them. Can't wait to paint them, and I'm going to get started on that. Yay, today is painting day. So I've already prepared my area so I don't get anything on our concrete. And I'm going to start with the Spar urethane, which is the marine polyurethane. And I'm going to do the insides of all 3 boxes. I'm probably going to do about 2 coats. But in the meantime, I'm going to get started on the first coat. And then after that, I get to paint the outsides, which I'm really looking forward to. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you want to kind of get all the areas and the fronts. So I'm hoping that this will keep it from rotting a little faster, because especially here in Florida, it doesn't take much for wood to rot. All the insides have been polyurethaned and they're drying. And now I'm on to the color. I'm going to be using some leftover paint from my garage door, and I hope I have enough because I thought the can had more paint than it does. But I'm going to get started giving it paint, and this is the color that I will be using. So it's going to take me a while to paint, so I will keep on painting, and when they're all finished, we'll tune back in. After all this hard work, my planters are done. So if you like this project, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, bye.